Today in history, in 1962, a U.S. Ranger spacecraft crash lands on the moon.
Welcome to What the Fuck History, where we discuss the wackiest and weirdest things that make us say, well, what the fuck history. I am the tapping on your chamber door, Zachary, and don't you fucking fall asleep on me.
My name is Meghan, and tonight I will once more be your political analyst.
And I'm Matt. Today I learned that according to Zach, elephants are witches because they bury their dead, bathe ritualistically during full moons, and wave sticks around during other phases of the moon.
Prove me
We're gonna
wrong.
keep that in because fuck you.
Prove me fucking wrong. I dare you.
I can't. I haven't been around
You know what's really
elephants
interesting
that
about
much.
that little bit of information?
No, Matt, tell
is
me.
like the concept of an elephant graveyard.
Yeah?
Because a lot of people are like, elephants
yeah.
bury their dead, and nobody really knows where the elephant graveyard is. And it's like, okay, but couldn't you just wait for them to, like, have a dead body and then follow one of the, like, to see?
I mean, couldn't you also just look for the big-ass mound of earth?
Well, yeah,
That's
probs.
true.
People are, like, I just think it's so interesting that people are like, there's an elephant graveyard somewhere out there.
Yeah, there's also a regular graveyard somewhere out there. I don't see me
There's
fucking
some-
looking for
you
it.
know,
Well, I mean, if you think about it,
Conceivably,
really,
the world is a
the world is a
graveyard.
graveyard.
It's
Yeah,
just one big graveyard, baby.
Instead of the world is a vampire, it's like the world is a graveyard.
Yeah, dude.
Filled
I
with
just
bone.
threw into Google, "Are elephants religious?" because I wanted to see what the first response was, and it's like they don't worship, pray, or believe in gods of any kind, but they do perform rituals. I'm like, have you asked? Has an elephant? Have you been gone up to an elephant and been like, "Hey, do you
Okay,
believe in
so
God?"
let's be clear. They worship the moon, which makes them witches.
Yes.
I mean, that's true. I just think it's really funny that this assertion is they do not worship or pray or believe, but they do perform rituals. Like, some guy did go up to an elephant and was just like, "Hey, can you clear this up?" And he was like, it did the whole trunk thing, and he's like, "Got it."
Yeah.
Look, okay,
What do you
cool.
got?
It's basically just like, hey, God, that a
God.
thing for you? And the
What are your
elephant just
thoughts?
shrugged and waved a stick around under a moon.
And the guy was
Yeah,
like,
like,
God's
what?
not there, but okay.
Got it. The moon's there.
Got it.
All right, audience, we've played a game of rock, paper, scissors, and our strikes have been set to 0. The order for
Zero.
tonight is Megan, followed by me, followed by Zach. So pick up your bingo cards and let's get after it.
All right. So, I will take the floor.
I mean, yeah, that is how this works.
Thank you, everyone. Would you like to know my title?
Megan, you ask that question every time, and the answer is always going to be yes.
Always.
It's simply titled genre spoken word.
Oh, no. No. Okay. Okay. I'm going to keep my mouth shut because you sent something to us
Hey
earlier.
guys, we had a moment earlier where Megan gave us a terrifying foreshadowing of what this is about to be.
You
They
have
did.
just...
They did.
You put a Chekhov's gun in our group chat, and instead of
did.
letting the reader
Yes.
forget about the Chekhov's gun, you said, "Hi, look, this is Chekhov's gun."
Yeah.
Yeah. I couldn't stop myself. I have 3 other stories in the tank, and this is the last one I wrote.
You have no
And
restraint.
this is
Okay.
the one that she brought to the table.
I couldn't stop myself.
She just could not stop herself.
I literally couldn't. So now that has been said, I have taken out my gun. I would like to return to a topic that I'm extremely fond of this evening.
Go for it.
Shitting on Ronald Reagan.
Yep.
I'd like to thank my friends, family, and God for being here with me tonight as I regale you with yet another one of his sins.
Oh,
I
jeez.
really struggled with the title for this piece because it really just sets itself up in so many different ways. Some of the other titles were A War He Actually Won, LP featuring Ronnie Ray.
I hate all of
To
these so far.
Well, so the actual title of what I am going to be talking about tonight is Ronald Reagan Speaks Out Against Socialized Medicine.
Okay,
I didn't come up with that. That's just what this story is about.
I think that your title should have been something like War, Medicine, and Finger Snaps.
I mean, maybe, but genre spoken word
Yeah.
is so funny though.
I think what would be really good, though, is if we got to the point.
Yeah. Yeah. So the reason that I chose that title is because when I was looking this up, that is actually what it says, like, about this piece that he created, like genre spoken word. That is what he did. So we all know that Reagan was about dismantling the Keynesian welfare system, but did we also know
That his
that
wife was the throat goat.
we already knew that is probably one of the first and
The
only
most
facts I
well-known
knew
facts
about.
about Ronald Reagan.
Known. Yeah, well-known fact. When I did go to DC, I did take a picture of her full-length portrait. I was like, wow, here she is in the flesh. But did we also know that 20 years before he became president in the year of our Lord 1961, Ronald Ray released an LP that is 10 minutes long where he criticized Social Security for supplanting private savings and warned that subsidized medicine would curtail American freedom. America, as we know it, would be dismantled by universal health care. So we can check a lot of things off of our bingo cards right now.
Yep.
Yeah,
We're just
you know.
fucking going hard in the paint right
Yeah,
at the
I'm
beginning.
going hard. Yeah.
Universal healthcare, the topic that's so difficult that only 32 out of the 33 developed nations in the world have it.
Yeah, it's really hard. It's a hard concept to get. So he said that universal healthcare would curtail American freedom, and I quote, this is an actual line from this LP. He said that pretty soon your son won't decide when he's in school, where he will go, or what he'll do for a living. He will wait for the government to tell him. Just to warn you, this whole story is going to be me reading a summary of this LP, so let me set the stage.
Okay.
This will be a theater of the mind thing that we'll do. It's a lot of fun. We like
You should
D&D
let other
here.
people tell you that it's fun.
Yeah, well, this isn't, unlike what Ronald Reagan maybe wanted, this isn't a democracy right now. This is my story.
I hate
So-
that journey for us.
Yeah, I hate that journey for all of us. The year is 1961. Your TV is still black and white. McCarthyism and the Cold War still happening. But your biggest concern is the gays because you work 40 hours a week as a vacuum salesman and you were hit as a child by your father. You haven't had a real conversation with your wife, but you do have 4 kids somehow. Life is not okay, but you're living the American dream. The curtain opens on Reagan saying that in 1927, the socialist Norma Thomas said that the American people would never vote for socialism, but under the name of liberalism, the American people would adopt every fragment of the socialist program. So I like how the first line, he's really telling us that we're dumb as hell. Like, if you switch the words out.
I am so already flabbergasted by this.
But I've set the stage, Zach.
No, I mean, like, she really is painting us a
Yep.
word picture here.
Yeah, like you're here.
In the moment when she was describing it, I could recall being beaten by my father, and I was annoyed that I have 4 children and a wife that I barely talk to.
I was going to say, like, your description made me feel the repressed alcoholism, need for nicotine, and cheeseburgers, and misogyny growing into my bones.
Yeah, I also have
Yeah.
a cigarette burning to its filter on my ashtray right now.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what I was going for. Thank you.
You're welcome.
For feeling that with all of us. So Ronald goes on to say that the government has invaded the lives of its private citizens and owns a fifth of the industrial capacity in the U.S. After he makes these claims, which I don't think can be backed up with actual facts, he gets to the meat of his argument, the Whopper
meat and potatoes.
Yeah, the meat and potatoes. Also, in that whole description at the beginning, I didn't mention how high your cholesterol level was, but it was assumed.
Yeah, definitely
No,
assumed.
you
that it
can.
was
You can
there.
assume it.
Yeah, you can assume that it's not good.
Yep.
So we can't back up these claims, but the meat of his argument is that it's easy to impose socialism on people if we use medicine as the vehicle to do it. Now, Ronald knew what you were thinking at this point. He knew that he might lose some people. He said that now medicine is usually viewed as a humanitarian project and that most people are reluctant to oppose anything that suggests medical care for people who can't afford it. But he says that universal healthcare just wasn't meant to be. Truman tried to do it and the proposal failed, and therefore the American people just don't want it. I will have it be noted that they were dealing with the first nuclear bombs being dropped at that point, so maybe universal healthcare was like on the back burner. Yeah. Zach's like, yeah. Now that you mention it,
I don't even think it was on the back burner. I think it was on the back burner. But yes.
Yeah, it was like 6 burners deep on an infinite stovetop.
That's the American government, the infinite stovetop.
The stovetop never stops.
It's back burners upon back burners,
And we
all the
keep
way
going
down.
into debt buying more back burners.
Literally, all of our debt is on buying more burners for this fucking stove. And nobody's
taking up the
trying
whole
to make
kitchen.
the stove smaller at all.
No, absolutely not. So he then goes on to say that there are representatives in government right now, aka 1961, that are trying to make people get compulsory health care and insurance, and that they're trying to unionize the labor force. And if those things happen, what's to stop the indefinite expansion of socialism throughout
So
America?
nothing's changed.
No, nothing has changed. I'm sorry.
The rhetoric hasn't changed for...
Hey guys, we're 60 years later.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
nothing's changed.
If you weren't keeping track, this was in the beginning of the 60s. We're still having the same conversation. He not only attacks the Social Security Act of 1965, which establishes Medicare, by the way, but says that the entire argument for socialized medicine is just a way of government continuously needling into your private affairs. And by targeting the medically needy, they are somehow encroaching on the freedoms of doctors. I don't understand his argument here because, they get paid either way.
Yeah.
They're fine.
Doctor's gonna make money as the doctor's gonna make money as the doctor's gonna make money,
Yeah, it's not like socialized medicine happens, right? And a doctor just doesn't have the freedom of a salary or the freedom to do we still have oaths that they need to take.
The hippopotamus oath among them.
Yeah, the hippopotamus oath is still standing. Standing tall, standing firm.
Shit. Never mind, continue.
Do you think they get their doctor's degrees, their doctor diploma taken away if they call it the hippopotamus oath?
No.
I bet they don't.
Yeah.
I bet they don't either. They're doctors are in short supply here.
I was gonna say, I've met a fair number of doctors. They're pretty fucking untouchable at some point.
Oh my god. We have doctor tenure. And that's my name. He then... Dr. Tenure is my name.
Was that worth it? Was that worth it to go down that alleyway for that little joke?
Yes.
I think so.
All right, fair enough.
I think it's fine.
Carry on.
I'm doing it. And then he encourages his listeners to write to their Congress leaders saying that they don't want socialized medicine. And he says that Congress does what the people want, which is patently false. I've been on this planet for quite some time now. And I know that that's not true. Like, I don't know a lot of things. That one, not true. He concludes in this spoken word LP a warning. He concludes with a warning that says, if we don't stop this, that we are going to spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it once was like in America when we were free. Due to this banger of a singles release. Yeah, go ahead, Zach. Please.
I was going to say, I think the joke's on Reagan there because no one in our generation is having kids because we can't fucking afford it because of people like him. So, you know what? We're not going to be telling our children and our grandchildren because we don't fucking got them.
Well, we're also not going to have sunset years either because he took away the healthcare.
So we're also not going to have years because global climate change is a serious problem.
We're also not going to have years because we're currently dealing with a giant inflation in our prices due to a war that fucking Russia's just fucking decided to do.
I would say all of these things can be traced back to Ronald Reagan's presidency. Anyway, please.
That's our point.
It would be such a rabbit hole. I can't get down. I need to finish the story. So, due to this banger of a single release, he was called an enemy of social progress who had been hired by the American Medical Association in 1966. And Jimmy Carter himself, who I always picture as exactly 94 years old. He's been 94 his whole life.
Despite the fact that he's like 98 now.
He's 98, but he's still 94 in my heart. Jimmy Carter called him a traveling salesman for the AMA that sowed the seeds of fear that Medicare would lead to the destruction of freedom, and this happened in 1980. And Reagan claimed that he wasn't against providing for the elderly, but considering people are pretty fucked if they don't work well into their 70s, and even then are kind of still fucked, I think we know he was actually against it. I'm not really sure what his game plan was, to be honest. Like, the more I dive into, like, what he did, I'm just not sure what the grand plan
The more you look at it, the more you're like, everyone said that this was a bad move.
Yeah, like, a lot of people they were just like, this is a bad idea, and he was like, I'm gonna do it anyway.
Wow. And I just was seeing like years into the future when people would be fucking Republican Party would be wanting to suck his
simping for Trump.
Yeah,
simping for Trump and still simping for him.
Yeah,
they continue to simp for Trump.
Yeah, dude. Conservatives love to simp.
Yeah, Republicans do love to simp. I think that's something that we've brought up before.
Yeah.
I think that, can we add that to the bingo card? Republican simps?
No, I think we have something in there that's just...
Make fun of the GOP.
A knock on the Republican Party.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fair. That's fair. I wanted to make sure we were covering our bases, because we do talk about
Okay, so realistically, Ronald Reagan was the first Donald Trump.
Yes?
Yeah,
I would go so far as to say yes, because he was a movie star before he was a political whatever.
There are a lot of
all of his fucking stuff was bad.
Yes. No.
Well,
yes.
I guess
I'm not going so far as to say that Melania is the throat goat, because that title belongs squarely on Nancy Reagan's shoulders.
That's true. That is, she walked so other throat goats could run.
I was gonna say something else, but
okay. What
were
you gonna say?
I was gonna say, and Nancy Reagan belongs squarely on her knees, but
oh no. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But, like, I guess I was gonna say, like, I was trying to think of, like, another maybe older president where, like, they simped really hard for them. But I can't think of one. Like, Lincoln got, like, memorialized, right?
Yes.
He became like a martyr, but people hated him.
Yes.
During his presidency, like it wasn't, this hardcore love that, Trump and Reagan experienced while they were president. So, like, people were going to bat for them.
I have no idea what it is about the 21st century and this fetishizing of people and like this glorifying of people, but it is something that has been extremely exacerbated in society, where we will find someone that we just latch onto and nothing they can do is wrong. And when that is done on a political and government level, like, it is extremely terrible. Like, I was going to make this joke a little bit earlier, but I feel like this is actually a better spot to do it. Like, we make fun of the GOP and the Republican Party a lot, but you know what? If someone from the left wants to make a dumbass decision, I'll make fun of them too. I don't give a fuck.
1,000%.
Yeah.
But
no, I was having a conversation with my mom the other day, and she was like, I was going back and forth about, you know, my dad and I disagree on politics a lot because my dad's a Republican. And I was just having, you know, a conversation, and she's like, all I know is that Biden isn't doing a great job. And I was like, yeah, duh.
Agreed.
Yes, but like,
but also,
he didn't start a fucking insurrection.
Yeah.
I mean, but like also I think and I know that we're going down a little bit of a rabbit hole, but I think what also really annoys me with this deifying of people, like, Trump walked into like a presidency where things were starting to get better based off of like Obama era policies. And then Biden walked into a presidential era where things were on the downward slide.
Yeah.
From Trump era policies. And like, people don't look at the domino effects. They're just like, all right, a new era has started. Call this
it's not a fucking clean slate every time someone takes office.
It's never a clean slate, and I just like don't understand how you can be on the planet for like 45 to 55 years and like you don't understand chain reactions.
Yes.
I mean, are you stupid or dumb?
Newton's laws have been around for quite a while, and every action has an equal and opposite reaction.
Yeah, dude. Newton, my boy Newton, like, said it a while ago.
My boy Figgy Fresh Newton.
Figgy Fresh.
Figgy Fresh Newtons.
Stop.
All right, we will continue down this rabbit hole, and this is like a whole other.
Isn't it kind of crazy that they make fig Newtons out of figs and pieces of Isaac Newton's body?
Yeah, that's so weird. It's
hey,
like he's
speaking
a
of weird stories,
corpse.
I think I'm going to tell mine now.
Nice
I
segue.
would love that. Is it about Isaac Newton?
It has
sir?
absolutely nothing to do with Isaac Newton. You'll be happy to hear.
Thank you.
I don't know. I'm a little bit sad.
I'm gonna say it off the top here. I'm gonna tell you guys all the cool things about this story, and then I'm gonna explain. I'm not even gonna explain why it's what the fuck worthy. I'm just gonna say one sentence that'll make it what the fuck worthy, and you guys will know the sentence when we get there because it's very much.
It's a moment.
It's very much the last sentence of my notes.
Okay, I really like that.
I'm very ready for this. I don't know what this experience will be, but I'm ready for it.
I love experiences.
We all do, don't we?
That's not true. Some people hate experiences.
My story starts in the year of our Lord 1896 in Zanzibar.
Nothing ever happens in Zanzibar that I know of.
Except for this story.
Except for this story.
In 1896.
Specifically.
So, essentially, Britain was given control of Zanzibar in 1890 after signing a treaty with Germany that I did not know how to pronounce.
Very well.
Where's Steve?
Yeah, I don't even have it in my notes, so I gave up trying before
That's
I
fair.
even got to the recording booth tonight. Excuse me, lots of burps. And in 1893, the British decided to install a sultan as opposed to like letting Zanzibar do its own thing. It was just like, we're going to put this guy here and he'll keep the peace on our behalf.
I really like the concept of installing a leader because
Installing
it sounds like
politicians.
Yeah, it sounds like they're an HVAC unit.
I also thought that when I was when I was researching, and it was like, we're gonna install this guy. I thought of like, have you ever played a Lego video game where they make you build things?
Yup.
Yeah.
Okay,
So it just every time it makes me think of just like, you have to install a person, and you're just building the blocks of the person.
Yeah, they're just like, oh man, there's a part missing for this politician.
And the part is the loyalty of his friends and family. So his name is, or was, Hamad bin Thuwani.
Okay.
And he ruled as the Sultan for a good 3 years. Sorry, I'm still recovering from COVID, so like I'm doing a lot of drinking of my saliva in between takes so that I don't cough in your ears endlessly.
Thanks. That's
I
what
love
just
that
what I
for
fucking
you.
wanted to hear.
Gulp. So he ruled as Sultan for a good 3 years before he died suddenly in his palace. It is believed that he was killed by his cousin, but there's no verifiable proof of that claim aside from everything that I'm about to tell you.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
His cousin moved in and declared himself Sultan mere hours after Thuwani was pronounced dead.
Seems a little sus.
Yeah,
He's
so
like, look me in the eyes. I am the Sultan now.
yeah, basically, like, in my research, they were like, we're pretty sure that his cousin poisoned him, but there was no way to do an autopsy. There was no evidence of this, but
Yeah,
we're pretty sure.
we couldn't call Grisham in the fucking
Yeah, in fucking
Oh my
CSI.
CSI
God.
this shit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
unfortunately, he won't be born for another 50 years.
Yeah, but they were like, we're pretty sure there was foul play, though, because before the body got cold, his cousin declared himself Sultan and moved into the palace.
Sounds
Yeah.
sus. Sounds like a coup.
Yeah, it does sound a bit like a coup.
Like a coup.
Cuckoo. So in 1896, this occurs. And the ruling sultan goes from Hamad bin Thuwani to a man by the name of Khalid bin Bargash. I don't know if I'm saying this wrong, and if I am, don't at me. But he's basically urged by local British diplomats to stand down, and he responds with, fuck all that noise, I'm here to stay.
This guy, he
that
might have
noise.
committed a murder, but he seems pretty ballin' to me.
He does seem pretty chill, minus the fact that he may have poisoned his cousin.
Yeah, well.
But he
Minus
does.
that small fact.
He does immediately start securing the palace with troops.
Smart.
Yeah, Bargash then decides to outfit the palace with artillery that had been gifted to his cousin. So it was like ornamental artillery that
Yeah, that ain't gonna fly, boss.
it wasn't meant to see use.
Yeah.
I love the concept of ornamental artillery.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like, no. Those are our good cannons.
No, not
Put
the
those
good
in the
China.
hutch.
I mean,
Goes in the hutch. Goes in the
Goes
hutch.
in the hutch.
I fucking love that. I think every 90s kid has heard that sentence at least once.
Yeah,
Yup.
dude, it goes in the hutch.
I just love the idea of like a Fabergé artillery cannon. That's like, it's just made of fucking...
This was half of our military budget.
It's literally made of eggs.
I was gonna say, now I'm just imagining a cannonball inside of a cannonball inside of a cannonball inside of a cannonball.
Oh, like a Matryoshka cannonball.
Yeah.
Fabergé are the like little decorative eggs.
Eggs. No, I know, but like...
Okay,
similar-
Yeah,
yeah.
but like this is what he's picturing.
This is what he's picturing. Got it.
You
got
said
it.
cannons
Fabergé,
all
and
the
I
way
think
down.
Matroysk, yeah. Ugh.
It would be funny though to see like in the same vein, just a cannon inside of a cannon inside of a cannon.
I was gonna
And,
say
like-
that, but it seemed a little too far-fetched.
It is,
It's
but
cannons
it's
all the way
great.
down.
It's just like the cannon gets smaller and smaller, but no less deadly.
Oh my god.
So, anyways,
My pocket
He
cannon,
outfits the
aka
palace.
My gun.
he outfits the palace with this artillery that's been gifted to his dead cousin. He has 3,000 troops who are also outfitted with weapons that had been gifted to the former sultan. And he has at his disposal a royal yacht
Oh.
because the palace is right next to a harbor. And so he's like, I'm gonna protect this house with a fucking yacht. I don't know if that's what he sounds like, but like I love
sure
to
it
believe
is.
that he does. So, the British diplomats that were in the area had stationed 2 naval vessels out in the harbor. And those naval vessels started to send troops to land to support the chief diplomat there.
Yeah.
I love the chief diplomat's name, by the way. So like,
What is
I
it? Lay it
want
on
to
me,
put
baby.
I want to put him in a D&D campaign, but it's a man by the name of Basil Cave.
Oh,
Stop.
yes.
That's so good.
Okay, honestly, anyone with the first name Basil.
Oh my
yes.
god.
Oh, that's good.
Majestic.
That's why I loved Austin Powers so much, is because they had a fucking character in there named Basil.
Though I liked the Great Mouse Detective. I
Yeah,
loved
right?
Basil.
That's what I thought of.
Yeah, all you '90s kids out there.
The Great
You
Mouse
remember-
Detective was also a fucking banger of a movie.
It was a
Fucking
banger of
banger.
a movie.
banger.
I rewatched it like a half a year ago because I was like, I forgot
Oh, did you actually?
how much of a
Guys,
banger this was.
I'll be honest with you. If I rewatch things from my childhood, I just wish I was a kid again, and I can't do that to myself more than once every year. So
I get that. That's understandable.
So Basil had every intention of ending things peacefully, but he was also preparing himself for the eventuality that things might not go well. On August 25th of 1896, he sends a message out asking this: "Are we authorized, in the event of all attempts at a peaceful solution proving useless, to fire on the palace from the men of war," which were the
Big ass boats.
warships that were stationed in the harbor. He receives a reply later on that evening, which states, "You are authorized to adopt whatever measures you may consider necessary, and will be supported in your action by Her Majesty's government. Do not,
Whatever you
however,
feel is right.
yeah. Do not, however, attempt to take any action which you are not certain of being able to accomplish successfully." So basically, Her Majesty's government responds, if you start a fight, you better be able to finish it.
Yeah.
So obviously, this is a whole big issue that Basil is having to deal with. He's constantly, since the beginning of this crisis, sending ultimatums to Khalid bin Bargash, and he's receiving no replies. He's not receiving any information.
Continuously left on red.
Yeah, he's basically being left on red. Bargash is essentially just unveiling these Matryoshka cannons like every day, and
He's
you know, Basil's like, well, he's got another cannon. What am I supposed to do?
Cannons.
Yeah.
What am I supposed to do
He's
here? with all
he's
this-
left me on red, and my government says that I can slap him in the face if I must, but I'd prefer not to. So Basil, on the 26th of August, sends a message to Khalid bin Bargash, which says that if he has not left the palace by 9 a.m. the next morning, he will open fire. And this gets Bargash to respond, and he says the following: "We have no intention of hauling down our flag, and we do not believe you would open fire on us."
We ain't leaving this bitch without a fight.
But what I love more than that was Cave's response, which was basically just, "I don't want to fire on you, but if you make me,
Hey, listen, I don't want
gonna.
you to catch these hands, but I'm about to throw them.
if you fuck around, you will find out."
Basil's just replying the same way that like people in those like early 2000s movies where they're like, "Come on, man, no, hold me back, hold me back,
Hold me back.
hold me
Hold
back."
me
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
No,
Except
you
he
gotta
was
take
doing
my
it.
arm like this.
He was doing it on like with a saucer of tea,
Yeah.
and he was just basically like, "Have at you." So on August 27th, 1896, at exactly 9 a.m., Basil Cave orders the now 5 British men of war in the harbor to begin shelling the palace. At 9:02, Khalid bin Bargash flees the palace after all of his artillery is destroyed and the palace begins to crumble. By 9:40 a.m., the flag in the
God.
palace is removed and the Anglo-Zanzibar War is ended
It's
after
over.
a mere 40 minutes, making it the shortest war in history. Thank you.
Jeez.
A
Oh
40
my
minute
goodness.
war.
Did the fucking fake sultan get away? Like,
Yeah, he got away.
okay. Well,
I didn't do any research into whether or not he was eventually caught up with, but I would assume yes.
yeah, I feel like that's a safe assumption. This is the British Empire after all.
Yeah, I mean, they don't really just let people go.
No.
I wish that the Ukraine war was 40 minutes long.
It would have
Yeah.
been great if it had been.
Really.
Yeah.
But I think what's also interesting is that, like, for the length of the war, it was also incredibly bloody because 500 people died.
Jeez.
Oh my god.
That's so many deaths in a 40-minute span.
Okay, but what
So
you
many
need to,
people.
what you really need to focus on here is the fact that it started with 2 men of war in the harbor.
I know.
And they were basically just like supplying some troops in case it turned into a ground
ground war.
assault. And then from there it was like, okay, let's just get a few more ships out here.
Just a few more. Nothing too ostentatious.
And then from there it was just like, okay, well let's get a couple more. So the first 2 ships were the HMS Philomel and the HMS Rush. There was another ship nearby called the HMS Sparrow that just supplied troops to help Basil Cave. And then there was, oh no, they actually stayed around and fought as well. And then there was the HMS Raccoon and the HMS St. George. And so all 5 of them were essentially stationed in the harbor, and it was like one of those scenes from 300 where it's like, our arrows will blot out the sun.
Except it's
type
artillery
shit.
shells.
Except it's artillery shells from a fucking man of war.
Jeez.
And I just want to show you guys, I'm going to post in the Discord a picture of Sir Basil Cave, because this
is
man
he
is
glorious?
he's just a beautiful gentleman. He is, in my opinion,
Oh,
a
yes.
picture of English class.
Yes,
Oh, amen, brother.
indubitably.
But he also has such massive fucking balls, because he was just like,
yeah.
he's
He
like,
looks
I'm
a
just
man.
gonna fucking shell it. I'm gonna full send.
I'm
some
tired of
fucking-
waiting. I'm just gonna shell it.
Well,
Yeah,
so what's
just send in
interesting
the
is,
shells.
like, he did go through all the proper channels to be
Yeah.
like,
He got permission.
hey guys, is it cool if I kill this motherfucker? And they were like, don't start
Everyone-
none, won't be none. And he's like, but
Everyone just
if
gave
I
him a
start
thumbs
it,
up.
I just thought it was funny that the government fired back with, you can start it, but make sure you finish it.
Yeah, it was like,
Yeah, dude.
we are the British
Which is-
Empire. Don't insult us by losing a
Yeah.
war.
Which is also another reason why I think that Khalid bin Bargash was eventually found.
Yeah.
Probably. I do want to look that up, but it is not germane to the actual topic here.
Fair enough.
But I thought that, like, I was literally just sitting in my office today and I was like, huh, what could I do? What could I do a story on? And then I was like, ooh, the war
Did
that
you-
lasted 38 minutes.
Were you just like looking things up, or did you know about it beforehand?
I had not heard of it, so I was kind of just looking for, like, wacky stories in history,
Yeah.
As we do.
as we so often do, and I was just like, I literally typed up, like, weird historical story, and the first thing that I saw was the war that lasted 38 minutes, and I was just like, what does that fucking mean? I think I am reading now that they did install a different sultan after this. One
They're
that
like,
was
"We can't
not
have
so
you-
keen on fucking world
Can't have you
domination.
in-
Yeah.
But anyways, that's my whole story.
Well,
That was good.
I appreciates it.
Oh, is that what you appreciate?
Oh, look, the ground.
Oh, look.
So tonight, I am going to play a little fast and loose with the rules, as if we make any rules on this fucking podcast. But I'm playing fast and loose because
Sometimes we have rules.
Yeah, sometimes we have rules.
Sometimes.
But my shit tonight...
They're arbitrary.
Arbitrary rules, yes.
Yeah.
Rules that don't fucking matter. Rules like strikes that...
it's like a game of whose line is it anyway?
Yeah, pretty much.
The points don't make sense and the rules don't matter.
This whole thing that I'm going to do is just too wild not to do it in the format that I have for you this evening.
Is the format in the game of like a Jeopardy or?
No, so what's going to happen is I have 3 small pieces / stories of information.
Oh.
And
You're Tarantinoing us?
I'm Tarantinoing you. I'm going to give you
Okay,
3 vignettes, and they all go together somehow. And I want you, Matt and Megan, and the listeners at home to guess how they intertwine.
For this to be as effective as possible, do I need to send you a picture of my feet?
No, I am good.
Okay, cool.
Unlike Tarantino, I think feet are the most disgusting thing in the world.
All right, great.
Okay.
Anyway.
Now that we know this about Zach.
Now that we know that Zach is a very open person, but fucking does not have a foot fetish, let us continue.
Yeah, not about feet at all.
So, our first story begins tonight, and our entire soiree begins with a man by the name of Phineas Gage.
Oh,
Wait.
I know that one.
Yeah, so you might know,
know
this.
that name.
So this is a great name, first off, and I don't know where Ferb is,
Number
but
one.
please never let summer vacation end.
Phineas and Ferb could fight God.
Yes, they could, and win.
True.
Anywho,
That's so true.
Phineas was a railroad foreman in the mid-1800s whose life would change dramatically in 1848. Because on... Wait, hold on. I might have typed that number wrong. Maybe it was 1838. No, it was 48. I was right. I typed it wrong somewhere. I
were
digress.
fine.
Yes, so September 13th, 1848, Gage is working on the railroad where he is directing a crew of workmen who are blasting rocks in order to keep this line going.
I've been working on the railroad.
Oh, the livelong day.
Thanks, Kermit.
I don't know why I did Kermit voice, but I did. Anyway. So.
Have we ever considered to think that that's like kind of a weird children's...
I mean, we probably
Song.
don't have time for it right now.
Dude, all children's songs are weird. Ring Around the Rosie is about the fucking Black Plague,
Yeah,
you know?
I know. It just hit me.
Yes. But the way that this works is a hole is bored and blasting powder is set in the bottom of the hole. And all that was left is to hit with inside the hole with a tamping iron that would send the blast downward. However, as Gage is setting this up, someone calls for his attention and he turns to his right. And as he is about to speak to the man who is speaking to him, the ground shifts, causing the tamping iron to hit the powder and set off the blast. Now, normally when you do this, you're driving the force down so the tamping iron goes down. But since there was nothing to send it downwards, the tamping iron goes up and right through Phineas Gage's skull.
Phineas,
He's
no!
a human sex kebab.
Well, Phineas survives. But
Yes.
there are complications.
He becomes a Disney princess.
No, exactly the opposite, because the tamping iron, it kind of rooted around and messed up a good portion of the man's frontal lobe. Which is
Makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, right in that good spot.
We're right in that good spot.
He got an express lobotomy, guys.
Well, instead of
What are
being
we
an
gonna do
express
today, Ferb?
Yeah, but it's like an express lobotomy, but it also is the thing where like it messed up the frontal lobe, so instead of being like comatose like you would in a, or rather not feeling in when you get a lobotomy, his personality did a complete 180 almost.
Yeah.
He became very violent and rude, profane, and like sociopathic, and just a generally nasty person, which previously he had been seen as like a very nice and good man. He was a hard worker and he was a good businessman. It was like, all right, this guy went from someone you'd want to invite over for Sunday dinner to the guy you avoid and go on the opposite side of the street to avoid, you know?
Now, you know what's
my God.
interesting, though, and I did say this for a reason. He did become a Disney princess because when he was at rest in like park benches and things like that, animals would come to him.
Okay, that's just fucking weird.
Yeah, like it's a random bit of knowledge that I have about the Phineas Gage case.
There you go.
What?
But like
I
when
thought
he
you
was
were making that
no,
up.
when he was sitting, like birds would land on him, like squirrels would sit at his feet and shit.
What?
Now,
Because I don't know what it was, but people say that like that happened after his accident. I could be completely bullshitting. I could be like totally wrong, but
that's interesting, and I'm not honestly, like, I'm giving very brief vignettes, as I said. So, like, someone could definitely cover Phineas Gage in total later, but, like, I'm just giving you a brief overview. So I'm not sure, because I didn't look that deep into whether or not he became a Disney princess.
I didn't go into his princesshood.
Exactly. But this is important because it actually leads to the study of the frontal lobe and frontal lobe syndrome, and gives us an understanding of how the frontal lobe plays a part in the human mind. So that's our first vignette. Our second vignette it's not really that much of a story. It's kind of just a fact that later is connected with this whole thing, so I'm going to make it quick. The Big Bang. We know it's a thing. Birth of the universe. Fantastic to be here.
We know it's a thing.
Moving on. That was the second thing. Moving on.
okay, so I'm sensing a theme.
In 1884, a yacht named I'm going to butcher this, but I'm going to try, Minganet.
Got it.
Anyway, it leaves England.
I believe you.
Thank you, I appreciate it. It leaves England on a voyage to Australia. And this particular yacht wasn't, exactly made for world travel, and subsequently sinks in a storm. The crew escape on lifeboats, and they kind of escape too quickly because they forget to bring rations. However, the four men do manage to paddle their way up and snag a turtle for them to eat. However, a turtle doesn't last all that long, and they are forced to draw straws just to see who is to become dinner.
Yeah.
Wow, shit.
A young man, aged 17, by the name of Richard Parker, draws the shortest straw and, not to get grisly, but he does become dinner for the remaining three men.
I
That'd be
did
so
not
bad.
expect your vignettes to get into schmanibalism.
So, small bit of schmanibalism. But they eventually are rescued, and they are put on trial, and the men who committed the schmanibalism go to jail for quite a bit of time. But
Schmanibalism?
for schmanibalism.
What was the charge actually schmanibalism?
I believe it was schmanibalism.
Wow, shit.
Yes, so they eat this young boy. And that is the end
They
of...
eat this young boy.
Yes, that is the end of vignette number 3.
Oh, dang.
Short but sweet. They kind of went from most dense to least dense, but now I have taken the time to tell you our 3 small tales. And do you have any guesses on how they are connected?
Well, the universe
they're-
having exploded connects to the other 2 because it literally made them happen.
There is a very literal and very hard connection between all of these 3 stories.
Is it
Is it a penis?
like violence?
No.
Like,
well, I was gonna
there-
say an explosion, but there wasn't an explosion
Yeah.
in the last story.
okay, so there's Phineas Gage and the railroad spike.
Yeah.
There's the Big Bang.
Yeah.
And God, and there's cannibalism. This man dies because of cannibalism.
You got
Is
me
it-
stumped, Zach.
Is it psychology?
The thing that connects all 3 of these stories is Edgar Allan Poe.
Oh, fuck. I did
What?
not see that coming at all.
Edgar
I
Allan
would've
Poe knew some shit he should not have known somehow. Are you ready for this? Because you won't be
I
able to
mean-
sleep tonight.
I guess I'm scared.
I'm not ready because you told me that I wouldn't be able to sleep, and I'm afraid of not sleeping.
So, connecting the first story, in February of 1840, 8 years before Phineas Gage's accident, Edgar Allan Poe publishes the short story The Businessman, A story about a child who hits his head upon a bedpost, causing brain trauma, which throughout this story devolves his humanity. Sound familiar?
Oh. Oh.
It really should sound familiar because this was so detailed in his description of frontal lobe syndrome, which would not be created until after Phineas Gage's accident.
Yeah.
That a modern neurologist went on record and stated that there are roughly 12 symptoms that can appear, and Poe described all of them in astounding detail. The neurologist said, quote, "It is so exact that it is weird."
So
the neurologist, I love that, like, a man of science was just like, that just makes me think of some, like, yokel who's just like, I don't know what to call it, but weird.
Well, yeah, but, like, it's flabbergasting. This is a neurologist who's like,
yeah,
a
but
man
the neurologist didn't say flabbergasting. He said it was weird.
Okay, but I don't know. I wouldn't be able to say anything else other than weird myself in that situation.
No, I mean, like, I feel that. I just think, like, I always expect, like, scientists to use bigger words than we do. So it's just like, that shit's weird is just not what I go to first.
Zach, am I understanding you correctly that Poe wrote the story after Phineas Gage?
No,
He wrote it 10 years before.
Okay, I thought you said after for a minute, and I was like, wait, it's not weird if he does it after. Phineas Gage is like, fine.
It's a well-known case by that time, but
yeah,
it
it's a
wasn't.
well-known case.
He wrote it 10 years before Phineas Gage's accident.
Oh, that's creepy.
Now,
Bonkers.
Okay.
He was the first Simpsons.
in 1848, Poe publishes Eureka, a piece of prose poetry that gets absolutely blasted by critics. However, in this piece of prose, it explains in great detail the forming of the universe, and it all starts with a bang. The work also goes into detail about what we now consider to be an evolving universe and black holes. This is 80 years, almost 80 years, before Belgian priest Georges Lemaitre actually proposes the Big Bang Theory. And on top of that, in this, and with other writing, he solves Olber's paradox by saying that the light of stars simply hasn't reached us yet.
Is Poe a wizard?
I think he was just connected to the universe.
Is he a wizard? Like, I don't...
I have my theories, but for our third and final connection, Edgar Allan Poe only ever finished one novel.
He did. Oh, I know this one.
Published in 1838, the narrative of Arthur Gordon Pym of Nantucket follows the titular character as they stow away on a boat called the Grampus.
The Grampus?
The Grampus.
Yeah, the Grampus.
All right, I gotta put that in a D&D campaign now.
But Megan, do you know, like, the connection here?
I don't know the connection. I know another story about this book in particular.
Okay, so...
But I don't know your connection. I just know that Jules Verne really loved this fucking book.
No, this has nothing to do with Jules Verne. This...
Yeah.
So... Great name, the Grampus, by the way. You're correct, Matt. Put it in D&D character.
A+.
But this is where it gets really fucking weird.
Okay.
So, the boat in the story naturally goes down from a shipwreck, and the survivors get on a lifeboat and begin to try to find safety.
Yeah.
However, in their haste, they never get a chance to get supplies. However, they do manage to catch a turtle, and they all end up eating this turtle. But that doesn't last very long, and the crew decides to draw straws to figure out, well, who's going to get eaten? Who's going to be dinner?
Please tell me there was a character on the Grampus named Richard Parker.
And a young boy by the name of Richard Parker draws
You're
the shortest straw and is subsequently eaten.
No.
Same fucking turtle,
God.
same fucking kid, same fucking name. And
How
that
many years
is why,
before?
my friends, I think our boy Poe was touched by an eldritch spirit, had a touch of the eldritch consumption, and knew too much, and good night, good luck sleeping, I'm out.
I can't fucking...
What, like, how...
I don't...
Was it before, Zach? Was it before this happened?
No, Yeah, it had to have been.
the book was written 50 years before the incident.
You're fucking
You're
joking
kidding
me.
This cannot be true.
Wait,
I
let
hate
me
this.
double check that, because
I hate this for us. I hate this journey for us.
published in 1838, and
Okay.
the yacht was sank in 1884. 50
Fuck.
years.
I hate this. I hate this. I hate this so much. Poe.
He really is.
He's a wizard.
He really is the Simpsons.
Either Poe was touched by an eldritch being, and that's why there's so much mystery surrounding his death, or he was a time traveler, which is why there is so much mystery surrounding his death.
Well, the time traveler theory is also like it's a theory about his death, right?
Yes.
It is.
We can get into that in a later.
Poe's
date.
death
I
is
know,
so
maybe-
buck wild.
Yeah.
I know his death is like there's a lot of it's like contested, but like
Yeah.
I think it would be really funny if Poe was like, I'm gonna write a shitty book, I'm gonna time travel. Because it didn't get good reviews. Like
No,
that-
it was destroyed critically.
It was a really bad book, but for some reason Jules Verne really simped for
I
it.
know, but it's Jules Verne. He's weird.
We've said
I
simped
know.
a lot. in
I
this.
know.
Yeah. We have. I'm not apologizing.
It's official.
I
This
wasn't
episode
asking you to.
This episode is the one where we simp for simping.
That's true. The one where we simp for simping.
I think that was a campaign to name the title the one where we simp for simping.
It's
but
either that or I simp, you simp, we simp.
that one. Go with that one.
That one's good. That one's good. You can keep that.
All right.
This is how we name our episodes. Now we've given you a taste. of what's
Hastily
behind
and
the
without
curtain.
much effort.
Without much effort.
Hastily and with zero effort at all. That's wild, though.
I'm like kind of still shook. Like
As I said, good luck
That's-
sleeping tonight.
Like, what's really interesting, though, is, and I've said it twice, but, like, The Simpsons has been on air for so long
Yeah.
that it is now being looked at as prophetic because it's just been, like, coming up with things that have happened.
Yeah.
So it's like it predicted Trump winning the presidency before he won the presidency.
Yeah.
Like, there's a whole bunch of shit that just... But there's no real... Like, nothing like that should happen to a real person.
No.
I think what's the difference between The Simpsons and the Poe thing is that, like, at least for me, is that The Simpsons was like, oh, what if we took this to, like, the logical extreme, right? If things continue down this one path, then this could conceivably happen. With the boat thing, like, that is so specific. He's not predicting like things on a societal level that he's like looking out and being like, oh, well, this could happen if this person was elected. He's like, all right, well, on this one boat in this one area, they're gonna eat a turtle.
Kid named Richard
and-
Parker is gonna get
Yeah.
eaten.
Yeah.
And this guy named Richard Parker is gonna get eaten, and then 50 years later that ends up happening. Like, that's not what The Simpsons is doing.
Were the other characters on the boat in the story named?
No. That was the only, like, specific name that was the same. But, like...
Bro, it would have been crazy if he had named all of them.
Yeah, but, like, at the same time, it's not even... It wasn't... That one was the most, like, what the fuck? But at the same
Yeah.
time, like, his whole thing about, like, casually solving Olbert's paradox is insane. Like, before
Casually.
like, actually having Olbert's paradox state that the light of stars hasn't reached us yet, and that's why we can't, like, see certain things. Like, people just thought the universe was in a fixed state, and Poe was over here being like, nah, man, that shit's ever expanding. And everyone's like,
Yeah.
you're insane. And he's like,
He's like, my patron told me, and they're like, what do you mean by that, Poe?
I also love Zach going like, you're insane, because Poe very much would have been like, you're absolutely right.
you are
He was
correct,
like, "No,
sir.
that's-
I
That's
hear
right.
a heartbeat in my bedroom floor.
But that's it.
But
That's all I
anyways.
got. I can't go
Yeah,
too
that
far
was-
down this rabbit hole, or else I will be here
I
for
know.
hours.
Yeah, I mean, that seems to be true of every rabbit hole that we find
How-
ourselves in.
I'm
I'm
actually curious, Zach. How did you find the connections? Because, like, that's...
So,
You don't have to reveal your secrets if you want to keep the magician's code.
No,
Trade
it's
secrets.
okay. I was watching like a couple like a little like short videos or something, and there was the one of Phineas Gage and the businessman connection. And then I like looked into it and I was like, that could make a story. And then I was like, yeah, it's kind of short. And then like I was like, I wonder if there's anything else like weird. And then I just looked up like Edgar Allan Poe predicts the future, and then it was just like a list of shit, and I was like, all right, okay, all right, this is creepy.
You're like, wait a second.
Hold on a second.
Hold on a second.
Yeah.
All
good,
right,
though.
all right. Well, it's been a crazy day for us here at the ranch, folks, and you've heard our stories. So we have nothing
you
left.
have heard them.
We have nothing left to give to you. This'll
Not
just
right
devolve into us talking about random nonsense forever. So come back next time when we tell you more stories. You fucking savages. But until then, let me end this podcast the way that I always do, with a question. What the fuck, history?
If you like what you hear from the Triumvirate Productions and What the Fuck History, we encourage you to tell a friend. We don't pay for any ads, so the best way to get us out there is to talk to other people about us. You can find us on Facebook at the Triumvirate Productions, on Twitter at triumvirate_pod, and on Instagram at the_triumvirate_productions.